to our Demarest family. We remember Christopher Violanga, Rick Solo, Johnny Cortazzo, Scott Vassell, Martin Woolworth, and Angel Nunez. By doing so, this year and every year, we celebrate them and their families. Chris, known by many as Chris or Vio or V, was only 30 years old. He was single. He was a foreign exchange trader with Car Futures, with an office on the 92nd floor of the World Trade Center North Tower. A wonderful son, friend to many, devoted and loving brother and uncle to his niece and nephews, and an avid Jets fan. I only hope he's happy with what the Jets are doing. Chris did not survive the attacks on the North Tower. Fortunately for Chris, fortunately for Kay, they at least had an opportunity to speak with each other before he perished, and Chris would have been 54 years old today. Now, I had asked Councilman Dan Marks to prepare a speech or remarks about 9/11 because he had a personal story to share, which I had never heard. Dan prepared his remarks, but as we all know, sometimes life gets in the way. His job got in the way, and he called me and he said he unfortunately would not be able to make it. But I had read his remarks, and I've decided to read you the remarks he had prepared and was going to give today. So these are the words of Councilman Marks. We gather today not just to remember a date on the calendar, but to honor the lives and the spirit of a nation, united in grief and resilience. 24 years ago, on this very day, the world as we knew it changed forever. The attacks of September 11, 2001, left an indelible mark on our collective consciences, a wound that time may soften, but will never truly heal. That morning began like any other. The sun was shining, people went about their lives, to school, to work. It was my birthday, and I had an important meeting at 11 a.m. with Marsha McLennan on the 97th floor of the North Tower. But at 8:46, the innocence of that day was shattered when American Airlines Flight 11 struck the North Tower. Initial reports were confusing. I was headed up to my office at 100 Wall Street. Was it an accident? Any doubt was extinguished at 9:03 a.m. when United Airlines Flight 175 hit the South Tower, and disbelief turned to frantic need to escape. As I stepped onto the street, chaos reigned, and as downtown Manhattan was flooded with thousands in a scene of surreal pandemonium, I rushed to the ferry at Pier 11, desperate to get across the water and to safety. From the deck, we watched in horror as both towers, now engulfed in flames, burned against the blue sky. It felt like watching a movie, a terrible spectacle that couldn't possibly be real, but it was. And at 9:59 a.m., the impossible happened. The South Tower collapsed into a massive, churning cloud of smoke and debris where a skyscraper had stood moments before. We collectively gasped. The man next to me fell to his knees, openly weeping. The tragedy of 9/11 is often spoken of in terms of numbers, the nearly 3,000 lives lost, the countless acts of heroism, but the true weight of that day is felt in the personal stories, in the profound absence of those we loved. I'm originally from Rockville Center, Long Island. 49 people from my hometown died that day, and 49 empty chairs at dinner tables, 49 families forever changed. 2 of them were from my high school class, and 1 a very close friend. This is a reality that sits with me every single day. This is the true meaning of 9/11. So as we stand here today, let us not only remember the magnitude of the loss, but the strength we found in one another. Let us remember the first responders who rushed into the burning buildings, the civilians who helped strangers, and the spirit of a nation that came together. Let us honor the life of Christopher Violanga and the others who lost their lives on that tragic day by living our lives with courage, with kindness, and an unwavering commitment to a more peaceful world. May we never forget, and I want to thank you all for being here today. May God bless you and your families and our country. I'd like to thank Dan for that. And with that, I will ask for the presentation of wreaths. So if two of the council members, before we do that, I'm going to have Josh. Josh, why don't you come up and speak?
Sure.
I'd like to do that now, and then we'll have the laying of the wreaths.
Thank you, Mayor. First, thank you very much to the mayor and the council for having me here today. Thank you all for welcoming me to the community. Thank you very much for the prayer, Doctor. Thank you very much for your words. To our first responders, our firefighters, our law enforcement EMTs, thank you so much for continuing to serve every day to protect our flag and for all you do. I was in the Capitol early this morning when for the first moment of silence when the bells rang, and I will admit it was an eerie day today, like most 9/11s when I've been in Washington, like wherever we are, because we remember, of course, where we were. And once again, we see our first responders doing what they do, no matter what's going on, going into harm's way. And my colleagues and I were talking, because obviously many of you followed what happened yesterday, the loss of Charlie Kirk. And regardless of your political party, that doesn't matter. What matters is you think about what happened to their family, to their loved ones, to all those who supported him, and the violence that you saw going on. And I think about September 11th and how we came together as a country and remembered that more than anything, we are Americans. Now, that shouldn't be something that has to be said, but sometimes these days it feels like something that we have to repeat, because we should always remember how we came together, not how the first responders, our firefighters and cops and EMTs rushed to the pile that day without pausing, put their lives on the line. Many of them not only perished, of course, in the towers, but from the exposure and have perished since. They put the country first, and then many went to go serve after 9/11 in Iraq and Afghanistan to protect our democracy and our freedom. I say all this because I think about how great our country is and how good we are when we come together. There's nothing that can stop us, that spirit. And today we're together here, right, to remember. And I think we shouldn't, I know it's 24 years, but we should, all those of us who were there that day and were alive that day, should remember what we felt in the days after. Because I know it's what motivates me to make sure that we always put our country first. 3,000 Americans, including more than 400 firefighters, police, and other first responders who ran into the towers that day. And as the mayor said, the sun was shining. It was a day like today. Perfect, not a cloud in the sky. And the smoke and summing up from the pile, all the photos taped to the fences, looking for loved ones. All the children who grew up without parents, all the parents who grew up and became older without children. It's hard to fathom. In Isaiah, there's a passage that says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord, whom shall I send and who will go for us? And I said, here I am, send me." That is, to me, emblematic of what our country did that day. Everyone stood up and said, send me. There was no pause. It was just about bravery. In Bergen County, we lost 147 residents, not to mention the nearly 750 across the state of New Jersey. More than 5,840 first responders and 8,200 others who were in and around the World Trade Center have died since 9/11, since the exposure. 409 firefighters died since the attack from 9/11 related illnesses. Thankfully, we have taken efforts in the Congress to stand by those families, but we have more work to do. We have to keep fighting for them, and we have to keep standing by our firefighters who are continued to be exposed to other toxins today when they go in and put their lives on the line to protect us. Whatever chemical that they exposed that day, that still continues. So I say that because we have work to do. And we should use a day like today to never forget and to keep working. In Demarest, of course, we lost Christopher and others, and Kay, it was an honor to see you. But we have to keep using and putting to work the memory of all those we lost, and never, ever stopping to fight for freedom, to fight for our democracy, to fight against terror, and to fight for our country. And that, to me, whether that's standing up to political violence or standing up to any form of hatred, and standing together and remembering what we stand for as a country, to me, that's the most important thing we can do in the memory of those who gave their lives. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless our great country.